Welcome back to the 307 podcast. Hey guys, this episode that you have tuned into here, there has been some debate on whether or not to release this to the public or not. It is a heated discourse, mainly between Chili and I, in response to the latest school shooting that happened in Texas. And I think even more broadly, our response to the wickedness that we see in our nation and our communities at this time and place that we are all living. A lot of you guys sent me questions and asked me, well, what are we supposed to do about this? What are the solutions, right? And obviously, we get pretty fired up. What I want to let you know is if you are not in a place right now in your own personal life or just the day that you're having to listen to some very passionate discourse, then I suggest you just skip over this episode. I just want to warn you about that right off the bat. There are some aspects of this podcast, particularly where we talk about holding violent criminals accountable for the heinous crimes that they commit. And, I've went back and forth, and I really haven't come to a conclusion in my own mind. Blake made the comment of who are we to choose who should die and who should live. That's in terms of capital punishment and how we handle violent criminals. And I also can't help but think about the part of the Bible where they bring the adulterous woman in front of Jesus, and he tells the people who have showed up to stone her, "You that have committed no sin, please cast the first stone." I can't help but think about that, and it really is something that I haven't reconciled with in my own mind. But know when we get to that part of the conversation, if you listen for that long, that the conversation pertains to violent criminals, murderers, pedophiles, rapists, people like that, right? That's really who we're trying to come to. What do we do with these people, man? And anyways, there's your disclaimer for this episode. I'm going to put it out there. Obviously, you're listening to it, and let you guys hear it, and take it with a grain of salt, and let me know if you agree or disagree. Just I'd love to hear your opinions on the topics that we discuss. So, without further ado, if you choose to move forward with this episode, here it is. Today we're talking about many things on the 307 podcast, and somebody has broke my microphone over here. I wonder who did this. We're going to talk about... I think we're going to discuss for our younger listeners whether or not you should get married, and then we're going to discuss for our listeners who already made that mistake whether or not you should have children.
There you go. You already know. Krista, can you wrangle it in?
Look,
somebody told me the other day. They said, with Krista on there, Chad is much more mild.
I ain't gonna be mild today.
They said, if Krista challenges him, he's like, oh well, yeah. And then they say you just tone right down.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that. I have a massive amount of respect for Coach Krista, massive amount of respect for her and her opinion. And I agree. Thank you, listeners, for pointing that out. I'm just a guy over here trying to do the best I can. But
that's all that matters as long as you give your best.
I mean, do what makes you happy.
A lot of listeners have requested more from the parental people that we have on this podcast about children, you know? And so, people might be wondering, should I have kids or not? And maybe I just want to talk about that. I mean, mainly for myself. I'd like to hear y'all's opinions on that, just kind of what it's been like. And so we're going to talk about a little bit of that. We'll talk about a little bit of other stuff too. But speaking of YouTube, did you see the comment that I left on I've responded to one YouTube comment of all times, and it was actually one of the comments that was left on our YouTube video where we reviewed the Beretta M9A4.
You left a comment?
I left one comment, and it said, "You, sir, are a bona fide turd."
What did he say?
It's the only YouTube comment I've ever.
What did he say to warrant that?
He was wanting to, you know how the gun people culture is, how they're just belligerent idiots and they just say all this mess about guns and they actually have no credibility to be talking about firearms whatsoever. And so he left a long comment, and he was mad because I said the decocker on the slide of the Beretta M9 would actually hit my thumb sometimes when the slide would cycle. And he was mad about me saying that, and he basically said that I was just making that up. And so I chose to respond to his comment.
It offended him, Chili.
Yeah, I know.
I think on YouTube, I think I'm going to start really just going full bore on YouTube comments.
Well,
full bore.
You just want to stop the channel, Chili.
Yeah, I mean, it's over.
So
I did see where somebody had commented and said that, talking about how you didn't like the people that went straight through and the rollbacks in the class.
Yeah.
How you didn't like them.
yeah.
They was commenting about that.
Oh, I'll have to read that. I haven't read that one yet.
Yeah.
I'll have to get on there and read that.
I'm going to change the password, Chili.
Well, actually, I mean,
I have my own YouTube account. I don't comment as 3 of 7. I comment as Chad Wright. So I'm off duty. The comments I make on YouTube don't have anything to do with 3 of 7 Project.
I mean, don't tell me. I like it. I mean, I don't.
You're the YouTube head.
Well, I don't like that he lets these comments offend him. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
He
This
gets offended really
social
easy.
media and comments, and he deciphers what their intent is, and it just lets it get to him.
Is it part of your creed, controlling your emotions under all circumstances?
Oh, yeah, I'm not getting emotional. I'm not getting emotional.
He just lets them win. But you know, part of it, it's interesting for me to watch what he says. Kind of fun.
Yep.
You know, Brooke asked me last night. Well, I asked her. I guess I asked Brooke first, and then she asked me the same question. What are you most passionate about right now? And really, right now, one of the things, if not the thing I'm most passionate about right now is shooting. I'm really enjoying shooting. I'm seeing all my times coming down. I'm getting faster, more accurate, and just really enjoying testing out different weapons that are out there that I never even knew existed. And I'm having a blast with it. And so we started posting some content revolving around gun testing and reviews and stuff like that on our YouTube channel because that's what we like doing that. And it's something that I know Blake and I are passionate about. Chili hates it. I think Krista is enjoying her shooting training. Is that right?
True.
Yeah. The reason we started doing these reviews is because the majority of the content that you find on YouTube about weapons, the person reviewing the weapon, as usual, is not qualified to review a weapon. So we try to make these reviews very objective, very clear and concise and real, because we don't have any sponsorships or anything like that. All the guns that we review, we pay for them with our own money, and I think they're a blast, man.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Speaking of guns, you guys, I made a big long string of story posts on Instagram yesterday talking about guns and gun rights and, you know, talking about how if you purchase a weapon, before you purchase a weapon, you should get at least 8 hours of dynamic training from a professional and credible instructor before you go and purchase a weapon. I believe that to be a matter of personal responsibility. You should make that, if you decide you want to be a gun owner, you should make that investment into yourself prior to purchasing a weapon. I believe that. But I also believe that that should not be dictated by law. I don't think that the law should dictate you having to go through this certain process in order to purchase a weapon. That is, to a law-abiding citizen should be able to purchase a weapon anytime they want, right? And the reason I said that is because I think if you put government in charge of anything, they're going to screw it up. I don't want the government to have to dictate to you that you have to get a certain amount of training before you purchase a firearm. So I posted all this content about guns and stuff like this, and little did I know, there was a big shooting yesterday. The same day I posted all this weapons content. So they just happened to coincide by coincidence. And so I got tons and tons of messages on Instagram. I'm going to say like close to 40 messages on Instagram of people asking about this whole school shooting, this one particular. What'd you say, Krista? How many were killed the last report you saw?
I think I saw 19 children and 2 adults, I think last I saw.
Most of the questions I got didn't really, some of them were revolved around people shouldn't own guns and this and that, but most of them were like, well, what can we do? Like, how do you take this? Like, what can we do to stop this from happening? Right? That's what most of the questions were about. I mean, I had friends of mine message me and say, we don't even know how to take this. Like, my husband he breaks down and starts crying when he sees things like this happening. And what the heck do we do? Right? And I don't know. I put some considerable thought into that personally. It's nearly incomprehensible that we are living in a time and place where people will go into schools and kill children for no reason. That is almost incomprehensible. But it happens quite regularly now. That didn't used to happen.
Well, evil's entered the world now.
Yeah. But for real, did that happen when you were in school, Krista?
No, it was never we didn't have, metal detectors, and we didn't have resource officers and that kind of thing when I was growing up. And it is a different landscape for kids nowadays when they're going to school, for sure.
So it's a pretty recent, whatever you want to call it,
well, the
phenomenon.
Columbine started it all, right? That was like the first big.
That was the first one I remember hearing about. It's Columbine. Just what a tragedy, man.
Yeah.
Like what a whole. It's right on up there on a whole nother level of evil and wickedness.
Yeah.
How do you take this? What's causing this? What do you think's causing this, Chili?
A lot of it's we're putting young kids on Prozac and other medicines like that, and it makes people go freaking nuts.
Interesting. I didn't even consider that in my list of things.
I mean, that's what's causing it. I mean, like, we're a heavily drugged country. You got kids taking fentanyl on top of their antidepressants and SSRIs, and I mean, what school shooting has happened where the person wasn't on freaking Prozac or something like that? It's all of them. I mean, and so you can try to keep guns away from those people. I mean, that's a good idea to keep guns out of the hands of maniacs if you can. But I mean, what are you going to do? Add more gun regulation that affects law-abiding citizens? I mean, no. What do you mean? What are you going to do? Like, you can't do anything other than quit heavily medicating people for no reason and turning them into freaking psychos. The government regulation is not going to do anything to stop someone from breaking the law. He broke the law as it is. I mean,
Someone who's planning on breaking the law is
Yeah,
not worried about
more
breaking the
laws.
law to get the gun.
I mean, he broke the laws as they are now. So you add more, well, he's going to break those too. Like, well, I mean, I don't understand the logic in that.
I've never even considered the amount of medication that we.
Yeah, it's
this freaking pharmaceutical stuff. It's unbelievable what these drugs are doing to people, man.
Study any school shooter. What are they on?
Yeah,
It's usually young kids on a cocktail of stuff.
yeah. Now you're right about so the law part of it. If somebody wants to break the law, they're
Man, he broke the law.
What good is the law? Yeah. Look, man, I actually wish guns were never even invented, or sharp, pointy objects, or big rocks, or I wish things that we could kill each other with were never invented or created.
or hands or fingers.
That would be wonderful, right? But here's the reality. Guns are a part of our reality. Okay? And if you were ever able to get rid of every gun on earth and just melt them down into a pile of steel, and there was not another gun left and no way for anyone to reproduce one, we would start killing each other with sharp, pointy objects. You think I can't kill a massive bunch of people with a sword? Yeah, I can.
A sword.
Look, guns are part of our reality,
Or
right?
a jawbone.
As a matter of fact, the nation that most of you are living in right now, called the United States of America, exists because of armed citizens. In the very beginning, it was armed citizens that fought a war that birthed the nation that you are living in. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having armed citizens. As a matter of fact, armed citizens are the only thing that stands between you being a free person and you being a slave to some tyrant. It is the last thread that hangs between you being free and you being enslaved. I guarantee you. You look at what happened the last few years in nations that have citizens that are disarmed. You look what's happening right now in places like China. You look all over the world. You look throughout human history what happens to a citizenship that gets disarmed. They lose their freedom. It's the very next step. You look at New Zealand and Australia and this coronavirus stuff, man, they're putting these freaking people in camps, dude. These people couldn't leave their freaking house. I know because I know people that lived there. They shut their businesses down. They literally couldn't leave their house. That's just a small, insignificant example of what it looks like if you, as a citizen, are not armed. Your government will come and infringe upon your sovereign, God-given rights. It is the last thing that stands between us and our freedom. So, you want to make it hard for citizens to be armed? You're in for a bad ride, son. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. So that is obviously not the answer. To create more litigation to make it harder for law-abiding citizens to own weapons. Right? You guys are seeing all this. You guys seeing the school shooting most recently. You can't look at this incident and say, what can we do to fix this? I want you to understand, this incident is a result of a long chain of events that have led up to this level of wickedness. All right? Americans have been armed since 1774, whenever we came here, right? Even before we were a nation, we've always been armed. Nobody was shooting schools up. That's not what it is. Let me ask you this, man. What do you think would happen if we started once again, if we started once again at a young age teaching our children a moral code. There's a great moral code. It's called the 10 Commandments. What would happen if we started instilling that moral code and those principles into our children as a nation at a young age? Do we do that anymore?
I mean,
What would happen? What would happen if in a public school you decided to instill a moral code into your students at a public school? Probably wouldn't go over so well with you, right? Do you think that part of the chain of events leading up to this circumstance, do you think that it could potentially be that we no longer instill a moral code into our children?
I think it's a failure on parents.
Failure on parents? Yes, you're exactly right.
I mean, that's who the burden lies on.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the public schools' job to do it. I think, you could make the public schools into whatever you wanted, and if your parents took the mantle and did what they were supposed to do, I think that's where the real failure lies. And
But
it's
should a public school not hold a child to a moral standard?
well, that's why the public school system has devolved into what it is because of the failure of parents and allowing it, and
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's what I think.
I think a big part of the situation we're in right now is there's no longer a moral code that we instill in the younger generation, and whether that is the parents doing it. Look, parents, yes, I agree with you. That's where it should be done. If the parents don't do it, well, if you are going to public school, that organization, that public entity, it's a school, it should still hold you to a moral standard as a citizen, right? It should still have a moral standard that it teaches and holds you to.
Well, that's run by the government, and I believe in separation of church and state. So what should the
moral standard be?
What should it be?
It could be the 10 Commandments, and we don't call it the 10 Commandments. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's not a more perfect set of moral standards that's just clearly defined. I'm fine with that. That doesn't freaking exist, man. And let me tell you what, man. All y'all cats, all y'all jokers, might not many of y'all be listening to this that disagree with me, but all the people who have went down this path of just do what makes you feel good, and there is no moral standard, there is no truth. Let's everybody just try to be happy, and let's everybody just do whatever you want to do and identify. Look, man, that thinking is what is collapsing the construct of society. You want me to be real with you, man? If that's the way you believe and that's a lifestyle you promote, and you don't believe in truth, you don't believe in right and wrong, and you don't believe in a biblical moral standard, you want me to be real with you? I think when you go to judgment, the blood of some of these children that have been murdered will be on your hands. You can not like that if you want. So how about one thing we can do to stop this freaking craziness? How about you start instilling a moral standard into your children as soon as they can understand words, and make that a high priority and live that standard out in front of them? Do y'all think I'm stupid? Y'all just looking at me like I'm stupid. What the crap, man?
I mean, what would you like for us to say? I mean, we're not looking at you like we're stupid. You're going on a rant, man.
Well,
don't want to interrupt it.
Let me talk about another thing I think we could do to stop this.
Well, hold on. I will say, I don't I think Chili's point was good, that it's there is more, that the onus is on the parents, and it's easy to blame the schools because I think because our institutions we used to be what's the right word? Our institutions we used to have a more of a monocultural existence as a nation. You know, we had a very common heritage, you know, just cut from the same cloth. A lot of people shared values, shared religion, shared all kinds of things. There was more commonality, and we don't live in that world anymore. And so I think that inevitably is going to affect the institutions because there's more diversity there. And so different decisions have to be made about policies that aren't necessarily going to agree with everybody. And so the people that really, where that gets instilled is the parents. And it might come out in schools. It might not. I will say, as somebody who, maybe the only person in this room, I guess, who has had children in public school, I think that it is true that there are limitations and there are boundaries and there are restrictions, and there's the separation of church and state, and things have changed in a lot of ways. But I will say, I know teachers, my kids have had teachers where there is a moral code so I don't think it's an either or. I do think there is a moral code that is promoted in the school. I think teachers and administrators have, because of the landscape they're in right now, have to do it in a very kind of savvy a way to still kind of communicate that and get that across and instill that in the kids. You can't use a certain language anymore. You can't, just have to tread carefully around some of those things, but it exists. It exists for sure. And so I don't think that's necessarily the problem alone. That's not the problem alone. And I think going back to kind of originally what you were saying, and Chili kind of touched on this too. I mean, he brought up medication, but underneath that medication issue is really mental health. And I think that's an enormous factor in a lot of what happens with these shootings, even not just school shootings, but we have adults shooting adults. I mean, there are at least three big stories in the news right now that just recently happened. Not just the school shooting, so just 3 right in a row, and some are adults on adults, not just people shooting kids. And I think when you look into a lot of these shootings, these mass shootings, a common thread is mental health issues. And so I think that, and then you have to dig deeper, what's causing this rise, and because I do think that is something going on right now, a rise in mental health issues, and people being in a certain place with that and not treating that. And I would love to see more energy put there. Like what is going on with that? Like, why are we struggling? Why is our mental health struggling? And what are we doing about that? How can we, and I do think that's connected to deeper issues, but so I think it's complicated, but so I guess I'd push back a little bit on the public school thing. And not make such an extreme statement there. And then I think maybe to offer a little bit of what's going on, I think the mental health kind of crisis or issue right now is an important piece of what's happening with these shootings.
Mm-hmm. You know what promotes mental health? A strong moral standard. Mm-hmm. That promotes mental health. Y'all understand the reason why? Do y'all understand part of the reason why I promote a biblically based lifestyle and moral standard is because it works. It literally makes your life better. To have something that you can stand upon, to have something that you can believe in, to have something that you can say, this clearly defines what is right and what is wrong. That promotes mental health, right? And here's the thing. If you adhere to that standard and you don't go off and do all this crazy stuff like commit adultery, like steal, like covet everybody's stuff. Those are the things that lead to poor mental health. If you can follow a good moral standard, it's going to keep you out of situations that are going to make you mentally ill. I'm not saying that that's the only thing that causes mental illness. Obviously, there's abuse and trauma and outside influences that can affect you, right? But in terms of what you have control over, that promotes mental health. I think that's how they're tied together. What can we do to stop? Okay, what can we do to stop this? We talked about that. Chili, get them off. Get your freaking kids off drugs. Get them. How about you get them outside, man? How about media? How about media and music? There's this daggone song. I've heard Brooke listening to it, and it pisses me off so bad. This song literally says something like, all the kids with their pumped up kicks better run faster than my bullets. People, listen to this freaking song, man. It's about shooting kids in a school. Your kids are listening to this crap. What kind of freaking video games do you let your kids play? Let me tell you what, man. Screwed up. How could you listen to a song like that? How could you allow your children to play a game that is literally the premise of the game is murdering people? You don't think that's making your kids sick? You let that happen, son? The judgment for that falls on you. How else can we stop this? What do you guys think about arming teachers?
It's ridiculous that they're not armed. I mean, the school shootings, you know what they all have in common? They're all gun-free zones.
Let me tell
Isn't
you.
it interesting?
You're exactly right.
Isn't it interesting that shootings tend to happen at gun-free zones? Hey, that don't make any sense. It's a gun-free zone. There shouldn't be no shootings here. There's no guns. Yeah, that's why they're
Get
all
out of here with that gun, buddy.
Wonder why they're all at gun-free zones. Isn't that wild? Yeah. Why aren't all teachers armed? Okay, sorry. I get if there's a teacher that's uncomfortable with it and they're going to be a danger to themselves and others by owning a firearm, then by all means don't own one. But there's plenty of teachers at every school that are qualified or could be qualified and probably are to own a firearm, and they are required by law to adhere to a gun-free zone so they can't defend themselves or children whenever a mass shooter does come in to that building and they have to sit there and take it and lock themselves in a freaking door and hide under desks like idiots. So yeah, that's what I think about gun-free zones.
Yeah. You know what? You know how to stop a bad person with a sharp, pointy object? You pick up a sharp, pointy object and you fight back against them.
Or a gun.
You know how to stop a bad person with a gun? You pick up a gun and you kill them. That's the only way to stop them. They are unstoppable. Any person with a weapon is unstoppable unless you have a weapon that is equally capable to their weapon. It is the only way to stop it.
Well, you know what's ironic is they usually take these school shooters out. The cops, when they get there, take them out, rubbing their head, singing lullabies to them. You know, have you noticed that?
Oh no, we're going to talk about that.
They always walk them out alive.
Don't jump ahead to that. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. Let me ask you this: what would happen if you offered teachers, if you started an academy for teachers, and you said, "Look here, teachers, if you go to this academy and you get trained on how to use a firearm, you're going to spend a week here. And we're going to have ex-Special Forces members teach you how to use a firearm and how to be tactical in this event of a school shooting. You do that, we're going to give you an extra $1,000 a month if you get that qualification. And you have a Glock 17 with a fully loaded mag right up under your desk in a biometric safe. what would happen? The old boy with a gun wouldn't get too far. No, he wouldn't get far at all. Is anybody opposed to this? What? Why? Why don't we do this?
Well, you know they want these to happen, right? I mean, you understand that?
Well,
that's why.
I mean, most people think you need to put your tinfoil hat on before you say that.
I don't freaking care. I mean,
Yeah,
I'll put it on. Yeah, I didn't bring it today. I'll bring it next week. Yeah, I brought it 3 weeks ago. I mean, are you out of your mind? You made schools a gun-free zone, and you say you don't want kids to get shot? That's the only thing you want. That's what you want to get out of it. You take people and you take away their right to defend themselves in a certain area that everybody knows has quote unquote no guns. You can't tell me that's not what they're trying to do. That's the only thing that would make sense. You want shootings to happen in those places. That's why.
That's what logic would tell me. Yes, I mean, that's what logic would tell me. So this is an immediate solution that we could implement. Literally immediate.
You think
these daggone teachers, man? These teachers go through 4 years, some 6 years of school. You know what these teachers get paid? Like $40,000 a year. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. Train these people up, give them some incentive so that they can earn more money, and arm as many of them as will be armed. Ha!
Yeah, I mean,
do you have a problem with this, Krista?
I think I have to think through it a little bit more before I speak.
Okay. Well,
you can't tell me there'd be as many school shootings if that kid walked through the door with that gun and began to open fire.
He would get dropped.
And someone shot him immediately. You can't tell me that school shootings wouldn't go down.
You know the most dangerous place in a gunfight? A hallway. A hallway. The Joker would get dropped immediately. Tactically he's at a disadvantage going down a hallway. Be the easiest target on earth to kill. Yeah, but nobody has a freaking gun.
But you
except for one big old dude that retired from police force that I don't want to even talk bad about people. But come on, man. You know. Okay.
I mean, people want to say, what can you do? I mean, I'm sick of that stupid question.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
How can you not see this solution in front of you?
I'm sick of the stupid question because what you can do is arm yourself and then kill them when they walk in the door and open up fire. I mean, that's what you can do, but no one wants to do that.
Let me ask you this. What do you think would happen? Okay, we're moving on from arming teachers.
Talking about getting married?
No. What do you think would happen if we, as a nation of people, started holding criminals publicly accountable for the crimes that they commit? Do you think crime would go down? Do you think...
Walk that out for me.
Do you think that if a man or a woman went into the Mr. C's down here and stole a candy bar and he got caught, and when he got caught, you took him down here to the trauma center and you cut his right hand off? And so now this joker's got to walk around the rest of his life with only one hand. And everybody that sees him or her knows he's a thief because we cut his right freaking hand off, right? Do you think less people would steal? Do you think that people that commit heinous crimes, if you imprisoned them for the rest of their lives and never let them out, do you think crime would go down? We do not. We put people in jail for the most heinous crimes you can imagine, and they're out in a few months. And guess what they do? They go commit another heinous crime, and worse and worse and worse, until finally it costs someone or a bunch of people their lives. What do you think? What do you think if we judged criminals based off of Old Testament law? What do you think would happen if you committed murder and we took you down here to the county square and we hung you in public on the gallows? Do you think people would think about that? Man, these jokers ain't messing around. I might not want to kill anybody. I might want to try to live a quiet life, work with my hands and mind my own business, because if I get a little sideways, they're going to hang me off the freaking gallows. Ha! Guarantee you crime would go down. They ought to take these cats that shoot these schools up and crucify them upside down in public. It should be a public gathering. We should all go to town. They should put an upside down cross right in the middle of the crossroads of the town, and they should crucify that joker publicly in town. I'm not condemning this person's eternal soul. I'm condemning their mortal body. They should no longer be in play.
I like how you sat back on that one.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, man.
Well,
this criminal justice system and the freaking way that we just let people in and out of jail after these heinous crimes. Do you not think? I mean, what the freaking crap, man?
Who should take care of that? Who should perform those punishments? I mean, that's kind of where who should do it? Just the people? You think the citizens?
Put together a freaking committee of people that are in charge of I would gladly execute heinous criminals.
Yeah, I mean, it gets hard to know how to carry that out.
What do you think? Oh man, I'm gonna go out here and steal something because I know I'll be in jail for a night, and then I get out.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out here and commit murder. Well, what are the repercussions of murder? Well, I get 3 square meals a day, and I get to sit in a nice climate-controlled environment for the rest of my life. Maybe not even that. I'll probably get paroled. Get to live out, many more years. Just there's no accountability for criminals. None at all. We need to if I'm ever in charge of this place, y'all better look out, because one of the first orders of business is to build gallows in town.
You're in charge of what?
If I ever become a warlord, we will construct gallows in town.
Hold that South region in check, son.
Krista, you got to have many thoughts on this.
How do I get out of this room?
Keep that South region.
Does anybody have a problem with holding criminals accountable? Do you think if you steal something that you should get your hand cut off? And if you don't think so, then why not?
To what extent do you do it though? Like down to what level of crime, or what level of moral wrongdoing do you like? How far down the line do you take it?
You take
to
it all
where
the way
it costs
down.
somebody else.
I mean, we break
something, or
I jaywalk a lot. I don't want my legs broke.
Or if you tell a lie, should you have your tongue cut out?
No,
or,
if what you're doing is impacting another person, is infringing on another person's life, liberty, or pursuit of happiness, then you get it equally returned to you, buddy. There's just I don't see how anybody could have an issue with holding criminals accountable and judging them as harsh and as heinously as the crimes that they commit on other people. I don't see how anybody could have a problem with that.
I see where your head's at. We'll workshop it.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you.
We'll work out the kinks.
I can guarantee you crime would go down.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to finish up this conversation because I know Chris is getting mad over there. What you're seeing right now, I told you guys months ago. I told you guys a story. If you have a structure that is rotten, You have two choices. Say you're out here and say the house you live in is rotten. The walls are rotted out. It may look good from the outside, but the actual structural integrity of it is just rotten. You have two options. You can make a plan and you can systematically dismantle it and then rebuild. Or you can just act like nothing is wrong with the structure, and eventually there will come a hard wind and the structure will collapse on you. And chaos will ensue. Well, we have all chosen as a nation to ignore the fact that the structural integrity of our society is rotten to the core. We've chosen to ignore that, and we've chosen to just let it rot until eventually it will collapse on all of us, and chaos will ensue. And it's collapsing little by little now, and you're seeing death and destruction and chaos. The moral integrity, the very structure and foundation of our society is rotten and collapsing. And that's what is causing this chaos that you're seeing and this heinous crime and just wickedness beyond imagination. That's what's causing it, right? Now, we could stop that. If we, the people, stepped back and said, no more, we are going to systematically dismantle the just rotten to the core structure that we are all living amongst right now, and we are going to rebuild it from the ground up. We could stop a lot of death and pain and chaos and strife if we would just step back and do that. But we ain't going to do it. We're too scared. We're too lazy. We're too fat.
I don't think you could. I mean,
you're too divided.
Divided?
Is actually what it is.
You're exactly right.
It's not.
No, go ahead.
Go.
No.
It's not just America anymore.
Right.
It's beyond, like,
well, this is what
are you going to
we control this piece of land. We control this piece of land.
I think you do, but
yeah,
really you don't.
This is our land.
They're still letting you think that, but
we could literally dismantle the structure and form of government that we have right now systematically as the people. If we weren't so divided.
You know how many I think the level of agreeance that you'd have to have on that is far more than you think. Like, I legitimately believe that, 60-40 in favor of doing that ain't even close.
Oh, it's not going to happen.
I mean, it's got to be like 95% of the population is all on board on doing that.
Because only 5% of that 95% would even be worth using.
I mean,
it's not going to happen. It is going to collapse.
Right.
I feel like, I don't know exactly what you said not long ago, but how you had gotten off, kind of off your path on the political stuff, and you were getting really worked up. I think you're getting back on that path a little bit.
Well, just for today.
Okay.
Just for today, You want to ask me stupid questions about why people are shooting schools up and killing people and just all this heinous crime, and you can't look around you and see the long chain of events and the degradation of society and morality, and you can't look and see that and understand step by step what's led you to this point and how you could reverse it?
Well, they've taken good out of it. They've taken good and right out of everything that kids. I don't know who said the quote, but like, the only thing for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. And so good men have let this happen, and they've taken good out of the schools, and parents have taken good out of not teaching their kids what's good and right in general. And it's all a heart problem. It's evil, and it's a heart problem. That's what it is. There's not, like, yeah, it would be a good idea to punish people more severely, maybe. It'd be a good idea to arm teachers, yeah, maybe so. But all those things are just treating the symptom of what is a heart problem of the person that's doing that.
Oh, yeah.
It's pure evil. And that's all it is. It's not like, oh, this caused this guy to do that. No, evil caused that guy to do that. And why he's evil is because you've taken good out of everything and not.
Well, why he's evil is because we're all evil.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's why.
Yeah.
And
on the grand level that he is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't.
You're exactly right. Like ultimately the only solution would be a mass revival.
Yeah.
A mass revival of citizens, right? Because that is the only thing that changes a person's heart.
Yeah.
But for those people whose heart won't change, that's what the punishing them significantly will make them think. But
who can determine whose heart won't change though?
Yeah.
Well, if you're committing crimes, your heart hasn't changed.
He's irredeemable.
Huh? What about Saul?
No, I'm not judging the person's eternal soul.
I'm just asking.
It may change when he's hanging from the gallows. That's fine with me. But he didn't get another chance. I'm sorry, man.
I'm just asking.
It's a good thing Jesus gave you another chance, huh?
I never committed a crime that infringed upon the life, liberty, or happiness of another human being.
Well, the Bible does say that if you have ever hated somebody, that morally you are just as bad as the one who commits murder. Morally.
Good thing I don't hate people.
I have hated somebody before. So,
well,
that one got a little off the rails, guys, if you still are listening.
Well, I thought it was a good podcast.
Put that in the underground one.
Yeah, I mean,
Black market.
look, man, I
guess I thought it was good.
Every now and then, I quit caring about people's feelings.
You need to do that more often.
Well, it was good. It could probably have been a little thought out, some of those things.
Yeah, I mean, you always need to think stuff out. But I think that's the fix. Never care about people's feelings, but always think what you say out. How about that?
I thought what I said out, I stand upon everything that we just talked about.
Maybe.
I stand upon everything we just talked about.
Well, yeah, I mean, there wasn't... I don't remember what all you said. I'd have to listen to it to see if I disagreed with anything.
Chili got a little red-faced himself over there.
Yeah, he did. He's like a peacock.
Yeah. Bantam rooster.
The stupid questions is what pisses me off.
So don't answer them.
No, I mean, I'm not talking about social media. They didn't send me 40 questions. I'm talking about when people in my life ask me stupid questions that I have to hear. I'm not making a choice to go read freaking comments. That's what I've ranted on you about. Quit reading them then. But I get people ask me physically stupid questions, and it's like, don't ask me that.
Yeah.
So that's why it ticks me off.
Well, everyone ain't as smart as you, Chili.
I ask stupid questions. I'm sure that pisses people off. But I'm not saying I'm smarter than everybody, or I certainly know all the answers. But if you ask me a stupid question, I'm not going to...
indulge them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, listeners, for sending, or not, maybe not listeners, but followers of Chad for sending those and providing and sponsoring this podcast.
Blake, next time maybe you and I can do a podcast together.
Wouldn't be much said on my end, but
You got to quit reading them comments.
Well, I'm going to tell y'all what, man. No, I ain't even going to tell y'all.
Good.
We'll just take a little break here, and we'll come on back here in a little bit. Enough said.